Okay, so we've got all our parts made, and now we need to assemble them all together. So as you can see, they're all, because they all were started on the origin on the same plane, they're all basically sat on top of each other, sort of inside each other. So we're going to start assembling them. We don't really need to move stuff, we just need to turn stuff on and off so that we can't see them. So the first thing we want to make sure we've got is we've got all our components. So we've got a base, yes, we've got an acrylic square hole. We only need one of those. We need two acrylic circle holes, so we're going to right click that. We're not going to copy, that's not the same thing. We're going to go to move copy, and we're going to click create copy. And for that, you probably just want to drag it. Maybe drag it off to the side here. Hit OK. Okay, so we've got acrylic circle hole 1, acrylic circle hole 2. We also I think we also need another wood circle hole. So again, we can right click that, move copy, create a copy, and we're going to maybe drag it this way. So our wood one's right here. Hit OK. Okay, wood circle, acrylic circle, both the second ones, the copies. Then we've got one wood top, and we're going to need two brass rods. So again, we're going to move copy, create a copy, and we're going to drag the brass rod, let's drag it out to here. Okay, so we've now got all the bits that we need. Now what we want to do is we need to grind one of them. And by grinding, it basically means that that can't move, that's fixed. So everything else will move to it. And we want to start with the thing that is going to be our sort of bit that we screw into to begin with. And that's going to be the wood top. So our wood top, if we right click on that, we can grind it. And that will show a little drawing pin to show that that's the one that grinded. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start assembling it. And the best way to do this is turn off all components you don't want to see, and just leave the two you do. So we want our wood top and we want our brass rod. Everything else, we can turn off the light bulb so that we can't see them anymore. Okay, so our brass rod is going to move to our wood top. So here's the top of the brass rod. We want that to connect into the hole, which is on the bottom. I'll show you here, the bottom of our wood top. And we also wanted to screw up 5mm into it. If I go back to the original view, so we're going to click assemble, so assemble a joint. So if you click on joint, you can choose the top of the brass rod. So if you just choose the circle, that basically is a moving point. And then if we click on the underside, so we've chosen component 1, we've selected that already. For number 2, we need to look on the underside, and we want to choose this hole. So we select that as our second component, and you'll see it'll move towards it. And depending on what type of joint you've got here, it will do different things. So if I had it as a revolute one, you can see it's spinning. Okay, we're going to keep it as a fixed, as a rigid joint, but we do need to move it up 5mm, because if we look at the side view, okay, it's not gone up into the hole. So we're going to click that arrow to move it up, and you can either drag it, or we can put a number, so I'm going to put 5, and it should go up 5mm. Enter. So if I go back here, you can see that that's now inserted. You can double check it by going to the display settings, changing it to wireframe, and you can see that yep, so that is screwed in side of my hole. Okay, so I'll go back to my normal display. Now we want to put our second brass rod into the other hole, so we're going to turn on that one, and we're going to click on joint. We're going to choose the top of it, same as we did before. We're going to choose the underside, same as we did before. And again, we need to click this top arrow to move it up by 5mm. Rigid joint, hit enter. So imagine they've been screwed in, or they're glued in, for example. So they're not going to move anymore. I can check that they're both in the same by turning it sideways. Yep, they look about right. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to bring in our acrylic circle layer. So acrylic circle number 1. So it's already in here, but it's just not quite in the right position. So for that, I'm going to turn off my wood top for a second so that I can locate different bits. I'm also going to turn off my brass rods because they're sort of right in the way of it. And I'm going to click joint, and I want to click the top. So my circle, the top of my circle area, just the one on the left, that's fine. And then for our second part, we're going to turn off this, and we're going to turn on our wood top. Actually, we're going to turn on our brass rod, sorry. And we're going to choose the bottom of the brass rod, like so. And now, if I turn back on my acrylic circle, you'll see that it's moved to it. So now I can turn them all back on. Okay, and this time we just want to move it up. And we want to move it up. Easiest way of doing this is turn it so you can see it sideways. We're going to drag it up until it's in line. Okay, so I think if you zoom in here, it's going to be an exact number, so I think it's going to be 43 millimeters. I haven't actually worked this out, but that looks correct. Okay, so type in 43 for that one. And that's going to be not a rigid joint, this is going to be a, I think it's a slider joint. Yeah, so it can slide up and down on the tube. Okay, hit enter. So we've got our first piece of acrylic slid onto our rod. Okay, I can also turn the other rod back on as well. Okay, so for the next piece we're going to have a wood circle. So we've got our wood circle here. Okay, again I'm going to turn off all the other ones, just so I can select this. I'm going to go to joint, again choose the top of that, and then I'm going to turn that off, turn on my brass rod 1, choose the bottom of it. Okay, and you'll see that my wood circle has moved to it. And again I'm going to click this one. I can turn everything else on now. And now I can drag that up. So again, it's going to be a slider. So I can drag it up. And if I turn it sideways, so side view, zoom in a bit, I can bring it all the way up so it lines up with that. So again, I think 43. Yep, that looks right. Hit enter. I've just realised I've done the wrong thing. I've moved a piece of wood. Oh, right, okay, I've made a slight error here. I forgot about to turn back on my acrylic. So I've actually slid it too far. So if I go back to my joint here, the latest joint in my timeline, right click, edit joint, I can bring it back down again. Okay, it went too high. I just need to make sure that I turned on my acrylic. I was thinking 43 didn't seem right. Okay, so if I drag that up in line with my piece of acrylic, it is showing to be 37, I think. That look right? Zoom in a bit. Yes, 37. Okay, so 37 for that one. So I've now got my wood top, my acrylic circle, my wood circle. Now I'm going to have another acrylic circle. So acrylic circle number 2, this one, which is over here. So this time I don't really need to turn these off because this one's out of the way. So I'm going to go to joint, I'm going to choose the top of here, I'm going to choose the bottom of here, and you'll see it sliding over, sliding up and down, and now I'm going to turn it to my side view, and I'm going to drag it up until again it fits, so that's going to be 28 I think. Yep, so 28 for that one, and you can see it coming together. So the next one is I now need another wood circle. So wood circle hole 2, this one. So I turn that on, he's off to the side. So same thing again, joint, choose the top of this, bottom of brass rod, slide into position. And now I'm going to turn it sideways, drag it up. until, I think for this one it's going to be 22. Yep, okay, 22 for that one. Okay, and then underneath that I'm going to have, so now I'm going to have my, I think, my acrylic square this time. Okay, so my acrylic square is sort of hidden in here. So the easiest thing for this actually is we might want to drag it out. So if I go to acrylic square, right click, move, and I'm actually going to drag it out so that I can see it. Hit OK. So for this I'm going to go to joint, same as we've done before. Yep, capture position. I'm going to choose top of here. I'm going to find my brass rod. Yep, you can see it moving into position. And again, drag it up. I think it's going to be 13. Yep, that's right. Okay, so 13. And then my last piece to go onto it is my base. Okay, so turn the base on. Again, I probably want to move this out of the way rather than turning off all of these lights. So I'm just going to right click, move. And we're going to drag that right to the side. Hit OK. And now, same as before, joint, capture position. I'm going to choose this top. It's going to connect to this bottom. And that's going to drag up. And I think that's going to be 7. Yep. Hit enter. Okay, and you should now find that if I go to my wire scale, so visual style, wireframe with hidden edges, you can see my brass rod goes into this about 1 millimeter, maybe a little bit longer than that. Okay, and that's just enough for my nut that I'm going to import to screw onto, but the nut will still be hidden in here and not stick out the bottom. Okay, so that's all my pieces. I'll go back to my shaded. Okay. So that is all the pieces that I need. I'm then going to import 2 nuts, which I'll show in the final video.